Network newsroom. Now, if Twitter is a gauge of player sentiment, then the hire of Steve Wilks as the new Cardinals head coach is going over well with members of the Redbirds. Patrick Peterson, I love it. DJ Humphries, he from West Charlotte, I love it. And Ricky Seals-Jones, I like what I'm hearing. Well, you should, fellas. Wilks takes over for Bruce Arians, who retired just after the season ended. Wilks agreeing to a 4-year contract with a 5th-year option. Wilks serving 1 year as Carolina's DC after 5 seasons as the team's secondary coach. As a DC for the Panthers, Carolina blitzed 44% of the time, which means they'll be pretty aggressive in the desert. The Giants officially hiring Vikings head coach Pat Shurmur as their new head coach, the 18th in franchise history. He'll be tasked with getting the most out of Eli Manning, as he did with Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, and Nick Foles. The one-time Browns head coach takes over for Ben McAdoo. Former Steelers offensive coordinator Todd Haley didn't land a head coaching job, but he did get an OC gig with Cleveland. Haley will take over play calling duties from head coach Hugh Jackson. Pittsburgh ranks 2nd in the league in scoring the past 4 seasons under the guidance of Haley. And Mike Vrabel is master of his domain. He's the captain. The new Titans head coach left little doubt that he's going to be behind any decision on the field with his new team. He made that perfectly clear in his introductory press conference.
There's been a lot of talk in this town about how Marcus Mariota really needs an offensive mind. 12 catches in your life, 12 touchdowns.
Absolutely.
So you're the offensive mind.
I will run routes for Marcus every day that my body will let me. We're gonna have fun. Like we're gonna have fun here. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna compete. Every player that I've talked to, they know that. But we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna find the right guys that can go in that locker room and help us win. But once it's time to work, we're gonna lock in and work.
And Vrabel also says he wants great teachers that are passionate, but make no mistake that he is the one that is going to have final say on everything there when it comes to plays on the field. Okay.
Love that. Lot of optimism around that fan base this offseason. Great stuff. Will Settle will talk to you in a little bit. Time to go over what we learned from what was a wild championship Sunday. I'll kick it off here. Because before the season even started, we were talking about the additions made and the acquisitions and the free agents, and I loved what the Eagles did before the year started. Move after move, they saw a need and they filled it, checking box after box. Let's look back to what we had going on here at the table July 31st.
Oh boy, love this.
And I can start with Garrett Blount. Where did they struggle in converting short yardage? What did they do? Go out and grab a vet who was out there way too long, in my opinion, to be the guy at the goal line. A perfect complement to number 43, the password, Darren Sproles. Let's move on to Alshon Jeffrey. They need a true number 1, and now they have one, a big-bodied guy who can make plays down the field. I love Jeffrey on a prove-it year, already making plays at training camp so far, which I love. Then you look at the draft. We don't talk enough about Derek Barnett. I think he was a steal in this draft. I went on, and Eagles fans were so excited and hyped, and I was like, I just hope it turns out. Pretty much every move panned out, and they lost their quarterback. So after years of hearing about how the Patriots, it's always the Patriots turning out of nowhere underdog players into studs and creating unsung heroes in big games 24/7 on the regular, I learned the Eagles do it more impressively than the defending champs. They're better at it than the Patriots. Ooh. The perfect plan that the Eagles had in the draft and the added pieces, it could have all collapsed on them that week 14, third quarter, Carson Wentz going down, well, throwing a touchdown, by the way. But instead, the 1-2 punch of Roseman and Peterson, they were ready to adjust and get the best out of their team. We talk a lot about some of these guys. Nick Foles, right? 3rd best passer rating in a championship game in NFL history, leading the team now to the Super Bowl. We've talked a lot about Alshon earning his extension, 2 huge plays last week. It's all about what these guys, these birds of a feather flocking together, did in the playoffs, in the postseason. Ajayi added midseason, seen as a bit of a misfit in Miami, runs all over the Falcons in the playoffs. But how about last week, guys? The lesser celebrated names, the overlooked guys that came and stepped up to play, like your P-Robs, your Patrick Robinsons, and your Chris Longs. We see you. They both signed to the Eagles on the same day. Robinson never had much success in the league with the Saints or the Colts. 5 picks this year with the Eagles, one of them off Case in the NFC. Changed the game, right? Long, he was I feel like some people thought that maybe it was like a swan song situation. He gets the ring, he comes to the Eagles.
Right, there it is.
Not the case at all. He had a huge tattooed hand in that B-Rob pick. A lot of teams passed on Torrey Smith this offseason. Eagles bring him in, makes one of the biggest plays on the biggest stage. He was out there on the market for a long time, and so was this next guy in LeGarrette Blount. Out on free agency forever, finally finds a home in Philly, scores a touchdown, putting the Eagles up for good on Sunday. So yeah, the Pats receivers, their pass rush especially, you can't say anything negative about that. They are stepping up in big ways, guys that are maybe underrated, underdogs, if you will, but do not sleep on how well the Eagles coaching and the process of Howie Roseman has affected and worked their magic.
Love it. It's incredible. I mean, some of them should be misses, right? They can't all be hits. It's like every single one of them is a hit. In the offseason, when there's no games, we have to do a little treading of the water sometimes to get through. We did a lot of segments on LeGarrette and Torrey Smith. Where are they going to go? When are they? I felt like it went on for months, and now here they are, and they're in the Super Bowl.
Then it's also when they sign, right? You're the best at pointing this out, Peter. When it's somebody like Nick Foles signs or Chris Long inks on the same days, it's a blip on our radar.
Yeah.
And then they end up in that big game, the one that matters most, making a play.
I love the way you ended it when you said Roseman and the process. You look at Philly and 76ers, Joel Embiid.
That's it.
He says it all the time. Trust the process. That's his actual nickname, the process. So
this one took a lot faster. No, the Eagles almost overnight have become the best team in the NFC. What I learned this week was that the Los Angeles Rams had a heck of a head coaching search a year ago. What do I mean? Last week, Sean McVay was named the Pro Football Writers Association's Coach of the Year. He was 31 years old this season. He was the youngest coach to win the award, and he's the youngest coach to ever coach in a postseason game. He was hired by the Rams January 17th of last year, and it was a bold choice at the time, and that kind of goes forgotten now. But instead of hiring a coordinator from a playoff team or an old retread that we've seen a million times before, the Rams went way outside the box and went with the youngest head coach in NFL history. But hiring McVay isn't what impresses me most. It's the other candidates that the Rams met with last year, too. Stan Kroenke, Les Snead, Kevin Demoff, Tony Pastores. They met with 8 candidates. McVay was one of them. Here are 7 of the others. Number 1, Doug Marrone, who, of course, was hired by the Jaguars, and there's his press conference there. He just coached his team to an AFC Championship game after they went 3-13 a season ago. The Rams interviewed him. Number 2, Anthony Lynn. Took over the Chargers in their first year in L.A. and was one of the only teams ever to have this comeback season. They almost became the first team since 1992 to go to the playoffs after an 0-4 start. Another guy that they interviewed, Josh McDaniels. He's headed back to another Super Bowl. He's going to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts next season. How about another guy, Matt Patricia? He's headed back to the Super Bowl and is expected to be the next head coach for the Detroit Lions. Oh, wait, we're not done. The Rams were the only team to interview Mike Vrabel last year. He was a linebackers coach when they did it, and on Monday he was introduced as the next Titans head coach. And oh yeah, we're not done. The Rams were also the only team to interview Steve Wilks last year. They took a shot on meeting with a defensive backs coach from Carolina. Here we are a year later, and he's going to be introduced as the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. That's the list. McVay and those guys, every other one of them is now a head coach. So what I learned is that the Rams got not only the right man for their job, but they also nailed their coaching search too. They met with outside-the-box candidates. They didn't just interview the same names that we see and hear every single year, and they casted a wide net before choosing